Hello everyone and welcome to a beautiful game that was played in round 8 of the Croatian Championship a few days ago. It's a game between Saša Martinović and Zoran Jovanović, Croatian Grandmasters, and it's really a wonderful game. It's a game that won the Brilliancy prize, even though there is no official Brilliancy prize. Now, as the story goes, I was contacted by a gentleman, Zdenko Radić, a well-known figure in the chess world, and he said that he would like to raise some money to be awarded as sort of a Brilliancy prize for the best game, and that if I would like, I can also be on the committee that will be choosing the most beautiful game. I declined the offer to be on the committee, but I was very interested in such a thing happening, as the Brilliancy prizes no longer exist. I mean, they don't in major tournaments. Maybe somewhere there is a prize for the most beautiful game, but you know, in bigger tournaments, not really. So I was really interested in this, and I said that I'm sure that they are more than capable of choosing the best game for me to show. And even though there are 11 rounds, it was a 12-player single round robin. Only games from the first 10 rounds are among those that they were choosing from, so they would have enough time to choose one. But even though the championship finished and there was a really nice game from the final round, I will be showing that tomorrow. But for this game, really a beauty, a Capablanca-like beauty, if you will. But we'll get back to that. The prize was pretty much symbolic. 1001 Croatian kuna. That's by today's standards, I believe that's somewhere around $150, so nothing spectacular, but also, it means a lot if you've played the greatest game in the championship. But okay, without further ado, let's check out the game. And for those of you who are interested in joining my tournament later, we will have a nice stream, a nice Lichess tournament. The link in the description below, the first one will take you to that tournament. So let's check out the game. Saša Martinović versus Zoran Jovanović. Martinović opens with d4. So the queen's pawn opening, we have d6 by black, knight to f3, g6, and now through a bit of a different move order, Martinović plays e4 and we enter the Pirc defense. Knight to f6, going after the e4 pawn, of course white will defend it, knight to c3, c6, and now bishop to e3, a pretty standard line of the Pirc. Queen to a5 now, and here bishop to d3 by white. And this position has been reached plenty of times. One of the more notable games is a game from 2003, Garry Kasparov versus Zurab Azmaiparashvili, where e5 was played, and Azmaiparashvili was able to draw this game against Garry Kasparov. But here in this game, we have bishop to g7 by Jovanović, and it's not a new move, but very few games have been played. Unknown move in this position was h3, but here with queen to d2, creating this queen bishop battery with ideas of maybe exchanging the dark square bishops. It's as of move 7 that we have a completely new game, which is not very often for the Pirc defense in such an early move. Bishop to g4, hoping to win the knight on f3 and the double white's pawn, so you will not be able to use the h and g pawn to bust open the king side. It is possible to go something like bishop to h6, and after black castles you can exchange the bishops and go e5 immediately, try to create something, but after captures and captures, black can just go knight e7 and black exchange a few pieces. The white king is still in the center, white still didn't start any sort of attack on the king side, and black should be very happy with a position like this. So here Martinović chooses a different line. He goes knight to h4. He doesn't allow any exchange on f3, and now he can start pushing the bishop back, as it is pretty awkwardly placed with f3, maybe g4, g5, depending of course on what black plays. We have e5 here, and now h3 pushes the bishop back to e6, and now even f4, with ideas of capturing on e5 and pushing f5. So how can black deal with this? You could go something like captures, and after bishop captures just castle, but then again, white also has some very nice options. You can castle king side, you can push f5 next. It's not all that clear how black will continue this game. So white would be very happy with this. So instead, after f4, we have knight to h5. Now the bishop also helps out with the defense of the e5 pawn. The knight also pressures f4, so pawn captures on f4 would win the dark square bishop if white will ever capture. So a lot of ideas for black too in this position. So first d captures on e5, first capturing and only then pushing f5, and f5 now. So what do you do here? If you trade captures, you have to move the bishop, let's say bishop d5, but now white has this excellent option of going f6, just freeing up the f5 square for the white knight, and after black recaptures, knight f5 will be very annoying for black. You can't really develop nicely. You want to go knight d7 and castle maybe queen side, but you still have to deal with your dark square bishop weakness here. You don't want to castle, then white's just gonna capture and go bishop h6, you know, castle kingside, bring the rook into the attack. Not all that good for black, and there's really not all that much. You could go bishop f8, but again, white will just castle. Now you have a weak knight on f6, and your king is still stuck in the center, while white is mounting up the attack. So after f5, black didn't decide to capture. Black played bishop to f6 with ideas. Okay, you capture my bishop, I'll capture your knight. Martinović castles here. He offers up the knight on h4, but you know, he will get an open f file for his rook, which is much more important, and also capture back the piece. So bishop captures on h4, we have pawn captures on e6, f captures on e6, and now comes rook 8 to d1, a silent but deadly move, as this rook controls the entire f file. Now by playing rook 8 to d1, the queen rook battery also now controls the d file, and it's very hard for black to decide what to do here. You can easily imagine if this bishop wasn't here, then something like queen here, and then maybe if the queen moves from this diagonal, you could go something like queen here, queen to f7, could be checkmate. And the black king is still in the center, and it's not all that easy to castle. So here you could go queen c7, bring the queen back that way, but black decides to go queen to b4. He wants to bring the queen over to e7. So it doesn't really matter how you do it. And here you could try a lot of different things. For example, if you could try bishop to c4, and now the queen and the rook along the f file are really pressuring black's king side, and you have to go queen back to e7, and it's just going to be a very tough position for black to play. But still, if you capture, then we enter this line that we already explained. Queen d6, queen c7 to f7 checkmate is the idea. And if black tries to prevent it, let's say bishop e7, you get queen c7 now, with ideas of queen to c8, and not a lot you can do here. If you move the knight, you no longer control the d7 square, so queen to d7 will be checkmate. Just a lot of checkmating possibilities for white. So here, Martinović didn't go for something like bishop to c4, although it's a very nice move. He played an even better move, which you are more than welcome to pause the video and find. It's just a very nice idea. Takes advantage of the black king still being stuck in the center of the awkward position of the black queen. Maybe that's why queen to c7 was a bit better. But feel free to pause the video and try to find the move Martinović played in this position. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, you are really an excellent tactician. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, knight to b5. This is the move, and already you can see some threats here. Knight to c7 check, winning the rook here, as you know, it's a very nice fork, and also just queen captures queen. So two threats black has to deal with, and it's not all that easy to do it. It's interesting, if you go back, if you don't trade queens, if you go queen e7 with ideas of guarding the c7 square, then queen c3 is deadly. Why is queen c3 deadly? Because black doesn't really have a good move. You're threatening to capture here, you're threatening after you win it to go knight d6 check. You can do some discoveries with the bishop, but also if just pawn captures knight, then you get queen c8 check, and there's really no good defense here. If you block with the queen, then you get this nice check, opening up a discovery towards the black queen, and now after you block check, just captures, and now white can play whatever white wants. Let's say you capture here, queen e7 blocks, queen captures on c6 with check. Rooks are still controlling both the f and the d file. The king has nowhere to go. You have to block with the queen, and then just queen captures is checkmate. So after knight to b5, Jovanović decided, okay, I will capture the queen. We have queen captures, but now not automatically recapturing, but instead a nice in-between move, a nice Zwischenzug, knight to d6 check. So what do you play here? In the game, king to d8 was played. You might think, okay, but if my queen is lost on the next move, don't I want to capture the knight? Why not king to e7, and then after he grabs my queen, I'm just going to win a piece here. The problem is that's true, but white's even going to force you to win his piece, and now force your king over to d6, and now after rook captures on d2, there is no good defense. After this bishop moves, it's checkmate. The king has nowhere to go. All of these squares are covered. Even if you push something like c5 to make room for the king, doesn't really matter. Bishop b5 is checkmate, as bishop now covers the c6 square. So you really have to be careful. And there isn't really a good defense. If you go knight f4 to block with the knight, it is possible, but then just bishop to a6 check will win you the rook. You have to block with the knight, and then just bishop captures b7. You'll win the exchange, you'll win your piece back, you will have a nice winning game. So that's why you don't go after the knight. Jovanović played king to d8, but now just rook captures on d2. White's idea is to bring the rook over to f7, and there's no good way for black to prevent it. Here, black tried knight to d7. You want to get the king to c7 and try and get your other rook into the game, but rook to f7. White is extremely fast here. We have king to c7, getting the rook out of the way, and, well, sort of pressuring the knight, but bishop to c4. The rook now defends the knight, and also bishop captures on e6 is the threat, and there's no way to prevent it. You can't go knight here as the rook guards that square. You can't bring the rook over here to protect the pawn as the knight covers that square as well. So here, knight to f6, just trying to activate pieces, but again, white is just too fast. First, bishop captures here, putting a lot of pressure towards the knight on d7. Rook 8 to d8 defending the knight, and now once again feel free to pause the video and try to find the best way to continue this attack for white. And think of yesterday's game Mikhail Tal played and the move he found to remaneuver the knight. Once again, I'll give you a couple of seconds. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, you are an excellent displacer of bishops. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, pawn to g3. Similar to Tal's move yesterday, where he displaced the opponent's bishop to gain control of the c3 square. Here, g3 is played with a similar idea. You want to gain control of the g5 square to attack the knight, to pin it as the rook is behind the knight, and to threaten to capture it as this knight is pinned. Of course, you will not be able to capture back. So here, there is no better move. You can't go back to g5. Bishop captures on g3 was played. And here, of course, just bishop to g5, as you have now won the g5 square. And here, there is no good move for black. Black tried rook d to f8, hoping to trade some material, but it is far too late. Just bishop captures on f6. The knight cannot recapture as it's pinned, so first the rook captures rook. Now the knight is no longer pinned, but white gets a move as well. We have knight captures on f7 with idea of capturing the rook, but still doesn't matter what white plays. What black plays, it's all over. Knight captures here was played, and here after knight captures on h8, Zoran Jovanović resigned the game on move 26. I don't know. It would be a little bit better if he resigned here, so it would be a 25 move victory, which today is really considered like a miniature. But still, okay, captures, and it's a 26 move miniature, but still we can agree it's a miniature because black was lost for such a long time that it's just a beautiful game. It really, I don't know. I said it was like a Capablanca-like game because white played really simple, but really the strongest, and there was nothing black could do. So I really hope you like it, and you know, that it justifies the Brilliancy prize it won in the Croatian Championship. Not the official Brilliancy prize, but you know, the manufactured one, so to say. But yeah, a really nice game. I really enjoyed it. A lot to learn from it, so I do hope you enjoyed it as well. Like I said, the first thing in the description below will be a link to enter the Elite Chess Arena we'll be having to commemorate the 400,000 subscriber milestone. So I do hope a lot of you can join the live stream and the tournament. And yeah, I would like to thank Ilya Kovacevic, Michael Everett, Matthew Sobin, Edwin McCarty, and Andre de Araujo Jorge for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, well, with the incoming stream, and tomorrow I probably will check the last game from the tournament, Kožul versus Bosiocic, really a wonderful game, and then most likely continuing the Capablanca saga up until the Grenki Chess Classic, and then after that, hopefully finishing the Capablanca saga so we can start some other sagas, hopefully. But yeah, thank you all. I will see you soon. Have an excellent rest of your Friday.